I'm making a boss fight where you're fighting against your real life heart rate in real time. And I have exactly 2 weeks. So a lot of things I've never done before. This is going to be a huge challenge. But I got this idea and I'm doing it. In games, there's nothing stopping your heart from going absolutely crazy. Gamers have no reason to stay calm. I got to thinking, imagine if there's a game where you can only win if you stay calm. Think about that. Wouldn't the world just be a much better place if we all knew how to stay calm? Foul needs to be top left. Are you it's psychopath? Dude, chill. You don't even use Zebra. That's not the point. So how do you practice staying calm? Sure, you can meditate, but what if there's something more stimulating? How about a boss fight against a big monster shooting at you if you're not calm enough? Oh, you're saying there's some steps missing? I don't know what you're talking about. So first, I made a little list of things that can increase your heart rate. Excitement, scariness, adrenaline, being in a hurry, physical exercise, almost winning, almost losing, pressure, love, near death. This sound. So a lot of things. Obvious choice would be making a horror game. Could be interesting, but I know way too little about the genre, so maybe another time. I also thought about making a race game where you go slower when your heart goes faster, or trying to avoid falling objects, or running away from something. But then I realized I've always wanted to make a boss fight. I love a good boss battle. The intensity, the different stages, the epic music. Imagine trying to survive an intense boss battle directly influenced by your heart rate as you try to stay calm. That has to be a real challenge. Amazing! Let's go. So to make this thing actually work with real life heart rate, I need an Arduino. I learned what the f this thing even is last year. You can see it in my arcade racing game video. And I also need a pill sensor. Little thingy that can read heart rate by shining light into your blood or something, I don't know. There are expensive ones and cheap ones, and I don't know what the difference is, but I also don't care as long as it works. So I ordered the cheap one, of course. So, setting, theme, story, anything. How do I start? I have very little time and much to learn, so I'm keeping it simple. So I decided instead of making a whole environment, I can just make a dark room. Kind of similar to the arena of the game Devil Daggers. Looks cool and mysterious and it's pretty easy. So I made some concept art and a little story. You find yourself in a dark room where you are confronted with your own heart. But then a monster comes and starts trying to take over your heart. It uses your heartbeat as a power source, so you can only fight it by staying calm. Pretty cool, right? Because music is an essential part of a good boss fight, and because I felt like it, I just started searching for boss music, but I just couldn't find the right song. I went all over Epidemicsound and all I found was way too epic. I'm making a little game in 2 weeks, not the final fight between the last fibers of mankind. So I decided to make something myself, because I have enough time. And with that, I mean putting loops together from splice. Great! The pill sensor didn't arrive yet and I was bored. And I knew I wanted to make a pixelated renderer to get these interesting 3D pixelated visuals like a short hike has. I feel like it allows me to get away with less detailed art, save time, and call it an aesthetic. And I worked on that using this amazing tutorial from this guy. So now I have music and a pixelated renderer. The order in which I'm doing things makes no sense at all. The next day the pill sensor arrived and I noticed this shit's not attached. I have to do that myself. Can be delivered with loose or soldered heads. Is it a 50-50 chance? Okay, I did it. I was really scared of breaking it, but I'm pretty sure everything is fine, so let's test. Okay, it doesn't work. So apparently I accidentally switched cables, so now it works. Whoa. I had to write some basic code and whoa, something's happening. It's a heartbeat. We got a pulse. I'm alive. I actually feel my heart in my finger now. It's kind of weird. I have taken out of going in order to calculate a maximum and a minimum and a dynamically updating threshold based on the maximum and minimum, and I can now count each spike as a single heartbeat. Yes, I feel smart, but I still had inconsistent results with different people. So randomly online, I read that my ear could also give good results. And it does? How does that make sense? I made it connect to Unity, the game engine I'm using. I already learned how to do this during my arcade racing game video. And I made a light blink. And it works! But still very inconsistently. Sometimes it works, sometimes not at all. And I just couldn't figure it out. Me, as stupid as I am, concluded it can only be because of one reason. Because I bought the cheap one. I had to buy the expensive one. That's the problem. That has to be the problem. So 30 euros. Why am I doing this? If this doesn't fix the issue, I'm never buying the expensive version of anything ever again. Fun fact, while browsing Arduino forums for help, someone named System kept showing up at every post, always being so mean. What's up with this person? I started laughing every time I came across this, and I told my friends about it, and they told me, yeah, pretty sure everyone who gets banned gets replaced with System. So it's just different people who got banned. Well, that's boring. I like to imagine it's just one really angry person who always gets mad at everyone, but for some reason decides to help everyone anyway. This post they're initially answering themselves. Anyway, back to... So I made it calculate BPM and only send heartbeats to Unity if it measures a somewhat normal BPM. Like not under 35 or over 200,000. Maybe at that point the game should automatically call an ambulance. Now for actual gameplay. Because of the limited time and my limited skill, I decided to make it a first-person shooter. That should be pretty easy, right? I also decided what the gameplay is somewhat gonna be like. You find yourself in this room with your heart beating based on your real heart rate. But then, the monster tries to take over your heart. Every heartbeat, the monster gets a little closer to taking over your heart. So you have to stay calm. Luckily, you brought this gun with you. You have to defeat the monster before it completely takes over your heart. If you take away half his health, the next phase starts and your boss starts attacking you based on your heart rate in real time. So let's go! First, player controls. I thought about different controls that would work okay while having this thing on your finger, and a controller kind of works. But I've never worked with a controller in Unity, so I have no idea how... It's Brackies again. Will he ever stop saving my life? So it almost works. I spent the whole day around, and now I learned the input system. Kinda. It works! Next up, I'm working on dashing. So another whole day and I figured it out, and I feel really smart and cool. First, I had 4 different buttons to dash in 4 different directions. But during my first test, someone said it makes way more sense if you can just dash in whatever direction you're moving, which is one button. Yeah, that would be better. But how do I did it! I just multiplied the movement velocity with the dash. I'm just saying fancy words to feel smart. Time to create the boss. So I tried sketching ideas, but creature design and making a boss monster is a pretty big topic, and I don't have time to dive too deeply into that, sadly, because I have 4 days left. That can't be right. How did that happen? I just tried the first thing that popped into my head, and I came up with this. Just a simple body with floating hands, so I don't have to set up the whole bone structure and make complex animations. I just started fucking around in Unity with shaders and made something really weird. Doesn't look scary at all. I tried giving it horns, but I realized the horns kind of look like arms, so I just went with that. But animating the arms would require setting up a bone structure, a process also known as rigging. And I've never done that before, but it would be really cool if I did. Coincidentally, while doing this project, I'm also working on a 3D animation video, which might be already out when you're watching this. In there, I said I've never done any rigging before, which is true as of right now. So despite the fact I have 4 days, I just decided, fuck it, I'm giving rigging a shot. I followed a tutorial and I kinda did it. I absolutely love it. I really brought this guy to life. It was a lot of fucking around and I still have lots to learn, but it's moving, it's alive. So I made some animations and let's go. What the fuck is this? Next up, the shooting mechanic. Brackies at it again. Worked on a little animation and particle effects. First, for some reason, I made it accidentally bounce on the ground. I added a little impact and a subtle hit animation, and done! Many people pointed out the boss looks way too cute and just huggable. So I changed his eyes a little. Problem solved! I quickly made some UI with some little effects, and after some experimenting, I ended up with this, which took way too much time. I was enjoying myself, and I forgot the time. Oh my god, I have 1 day left. The boss doesn't even fight back yet. It's just standing there showing off its dominance. I quickly modeled a weird-ass heart in an arena in Blender, drew veins everywhere in Substance Painter. This was also the point I noticed. The pixelated renderer just doesn't look nice with this game. Does that mean I wasted a lot of time making a renderer I'm not even gonna use? Yes. I don't know why, but it just doesn't look good. After this project, I'm watching a GDC talk from the creator of A Short Hike himself. He explained this effect doesn't look good with glow or smooth lighting. But I didn't know that before, so... yeah. I'm so glad I made it. I might try it again with another project, just not this time. Next up, I added an invisible wall, and I realized you can dash through walls. Oh, I made it so you bounce back when you hit the wall, and it works perfectly. I don't have time left, okay? Then I made an intro sequence with the Unity timeline editor. This is one of my favorite things to do, so I don't care it's the last day and I have better things to do. Now it's time to make the boss actually fight back. I should have done that way earlier. First, I made a look at the player. Setting up an attack pattern wasn't as hard as I thought, if we forget the probably very inefficient way I set it up. I learned how to use the Unity animator, which always really intimidated me, but it wasn't as hard as I thought, and I was able to set up all the animations correctly in a couple hours. But now, the big challenge for me. visual effects. I want to do a proper I learned visual effects in 7 days video later, but for now, I found this tutorial for magic orbs, just tried following that. I also ended up following a Spanish Unity tutorial.
Carpeta llamada Fire Tune.
I could still follow it somewhat. After a lot of f***ing around, I tried actually making the boss throw things. It took hours and hours, but eventually I did it. But it was 4 a.m. Where has my planning gone this wrong? Usually I somehow manage it all, but it's 4 a.m. I'm extremely tired and I didn't finish it. Maybe I can still finish it tomorrow morning before the presentation starts in the afternoon. So I woke up early and tested out the new pulse sensor I got, and it works beautifully for now. So next up, time to make the heart rate input actually do everything I want, which is a lot. And I want everything to slowly transition to purple as the monster is taking over. Should be simple enough. Okay, everything is slowly being taken over by purple, including the sky, which is pretty cool. So when you're almost dead, the vibe completely changes. I prepared the shaders for this earlier, because I am smart and I think ahead. I did a huge sound speedrun. I quickly layered some sounds I found on Epidemicsound. So I have to present this game now. And I haven't had the time to actually test the game with the new pulse sensor. But what can go wrong? The presentation failed. It didn't work. It just didn't. The pulse sensor gave weird ass readings again. My heart was beating so fast I thought it was going to be really funny to see it in game. I just stood there saying, it worked an hour ago, I promise. I barely slept. I looked like my soul escaped from my body. It works for a bit, but then I just don't. Obviously, there are still things I just haven't done, but I'm pretty proud of what I have so far. So the assignment is over, but you know what? I have 2 days till my next assignment. I'm giving myself 2 days to do all the things I still wanted to do and actually turn it into something I can publish so you can play it too. Without the pulse sensor, sadly, unless you want to buy one too, you probably won't. So in summary, the things I want to add in 2 days should be simple enough. Let's go. The transition between phases went pretty well using the timeline editor again. I redid the orb visual effects and I also made one for impact. I'm slowly getting the hang of the visual effects graph actually. Now for camera shake. I really care about camera shake. Fun fact, I used to make a lot of YouTube intros for all sorts of people and good shake was what it was all about. I'm not satisfied with a basic camera shake. Sorry brackies. I want a smooth, awesome shake. All I need to do is make the camera move based on sine waves and it should work perfectly. Okay, so I was tweaking it till it works and it took a lot of time, but I did it! I am so proud. My programming skills have improved so much since the arcade racing game video. Let's go! I also added support for rotation shake while I was at it. In game it's obviously better to have very subtle shakes, otherwise it can easily become way too much. But having the script made is amazing. I can use it to make a lot of other things shake in the future. I'm honestly so proud of this, and I also feel like I could make fade in and fade out functionality and make it easily customizable. Maybe even turn it into an actual Unity asset. Now available on the asset store. Smooth shake. I noticed none of the shakes in the Unity Asset Store are smooth. So here you go. And guess what? CodeMonkey already recommended it in his best new system and tools video of November, which is crazy.
I'm always a fan of tools that do just one thing but do it extremely well.
I still barely know what I'm doing. Thank you, CodeMonkey. If you want a smooth shake for Unity and support me, link in description. Sorry for that. I made a start screen and I accidentally learned how to mask out certain objects, which looks really awesome. I literally did this by accident and I was like, awesome, I'm keeping this. It's not a bug. It's a feature. Also made an aim sensitivity slider you can control with the joystick. I spent way too much time on stupid things like this. I finished the sound design. I usually don't have much trouble with this, but this time I was having a hard time because I have no clue what sounds to give the boss. What sounds would he even make? After some experimenting, I put something weird together. So I tried it again with the pulse sensor and I just get really bad results again. This thing barely works and I even went out of my way to buy the expensive version. And it works like shit. So f this sensor. At least I have some footage of it working kind of. It works for a bit, but then I just don't. Pulse sensor works, the boss battle develops in a sick way. Almost being dead feels really intense. It's really awesome. The boss even actually throws shit at you at the speed of your heart rate in the second phase. It's amazing. Oh my god. The code works, the game is nice. If the pulse sensor just did what it was supposed to do, this game would be amazing. I still really like this idea. I made a version without a pulse sensor needed, with just an automated rhythm, so you can play it too. Obviously not as intense as it would be with a real pulse sensor, but that was just a wacky experiment anyway. I'm gonna put a download link in the description. Send me your scores, see if you can beat mine, and let's go. Oh, by the way, I also made the boss randomly switch positions. During this project I almost rage quit because of bugs I had, which turned out to be really simple to fix, but I cut those out of the video because it's the same story every time. Shit doesn't work, I panic. Turns out I just forgot a semicolon or whatever and I wasted a day. But that's just part of the game developer lifestyle. But it's done now. I asked my friends to playtest, and one friend even played it on stream, which was really nice.
Auw, 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 auw. Oké, kutspel. Nee. 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 Heb ik hem? Oh, yes. Oh.
If you're Dutch, check out CP, he's pretty cool. Anyway, I made a whole list of bugs after those tests. But now I have to start working on the next assignment, so maybe I'll fix those later. Thank you so much for watching. I will be doing a lot of stupid ambitious things in the future, so subscribe. Bye.